"What do you want me to do for you?" "Like you don't know, Jesus? The man is a blind beggar. Why make him ask for what we all know that he wants?" Because that's how prayer works. That's how faith works. Prayer is not just conveying information to God. It is expressing a desire, fostering it, stirs up faith, and prepares the heart to receive. A desire honestly expressed in prayer changes us, not God. And the answer is not always what we expect. There's no indication that Bartimaeus was planning to follow Jesus as a disciple. He just wanted to see. Once he could see, however, he realized what he truly desired was not physical vision, but the vision of God in Jesus Christ. Jesus tells him, "Go your way," only for the gospel to immediately tell us that Bartimaeus then follows Jesus on the way. The way is not just a reference to Star Wars. It is what Christianity was called before it was called Christianity. The way. Bartimaeus' own way. His heart's desire is transformed by this encounter so that his internal subjective sense of what to do with his life lines up with the objective reality of following Christ. It began with a prayer, expressing his desire to Jesus, not just expressing it, but doing so with faith, calling him Master, in Aramaic, Rabboni. But what about when we ask and do not receive? How many people are not healed? How many questions seem to go unanswered? That too is to draw us into an authentic encounter with Jesus Christ. The gospel tells us that Jesus was being followed by a sizable crowd at this point when he's leaving Jericho. How many in that crowd recognized Jesus as the Son of David? We only see the blind beggar call him that. And when this beggar called out for help, how many in the crowd responded the way Jesus would like them to? Most of them tried to block him from Jesus. It was because of his poverty, his blindness, that Bartimaeus was able to see. He knew his weakness, his need, and he reached out without any fear of looking like a failure. Because of his poverty, he was able to persevere. Wholeheartedly calling out for Jesus caused him to be rebuked by the people, the world around him. But he had nothing to lose. So he's not afraid to endure that, to accept the ridicule, and only cry out all the louder to reach Jesus. And he did. In our relationship to Christ, we will often be reminded of our weakness and dependence. God often will not answer the prayer in the way that we would like. His will is mysterious. We'll never fully understand it this side of heaven, but we do know that God saying no to us, that his apparent silence is a chance to learn something, to grow. Prayer as an expression of desire means that when he refuses to answer, it's a chance for that desire to grow deeper, clearer, and more accurate. Long-suffering in prayer often reveals to us that we don't actually want what we thought we wanted in the way we wanted it. Or perhaps it purifies that desire and strengthens it to the point that we realize how many other things are getting in the way of what we really want. I want to win the lottery or this new job, but I may not realize that my obsession with what coworkers think of me is doing far more to make me miserable than a lack of money. Often enough, the answer to prayer is not a divine intervention, but the newfound resolve, the grace to cut away what is keeping us from our truest desire. In those moments, we strive to come to the place where, like Bartimaeus, we're blind to the glamours of the world, deaf to the rebuke of mere human beings, so that we can encounter Jesus Christ, ask him for what we need, and be enabled to see how to make the way our way. Following Christ in the way means obeying him. And we don't like to lose our freedom. In just a few minutes of internet searching, you'll find thousands upon thousands of people who ridicule faith and religious folk for their rigidity and their fear of questions or their irrational behaviors. These sorts of people will mockingly ask questions about God, but without really listening for an answer. That's not a search for truth. We can and should respect non-believers, people of other faiths who genuinely search for the truth. We should seek to help them, not by force or fear, but by genuine witness, through thoughtful answers and engaging questions. Often enough, however, our own faith is not mature, not able to help others because we are afraid of the real questions. Maybe we really are hiding behind rigidity, not able to help. Or maybe we hide with easy answers, memorized formulas. As with Bartimaeus, when a question is asked of Jesus, a favor sought from the Lord, his answer is more than it seems. Idle curiosity is not enough. The sizable crowd is curious, but Bartimaeus wants to encounter him, to learn from him, who calls him Rabboni, an Aramaic word that should be translated my teacher, to emphasize the personal relationship of disciple to teacher. The journey from doubt to faith, from weak faith to strong faith, is not filled with simple answers, but with learning to ask better questions and change perspective. It comes from a willingness to endure boredom and uncertainty long enough that we experience the genuine wonder and deep reflection at mysteries that go beyond worldly categories or human cleverness. That's uncomfortable. It's difficult. Why ponder the meaning of my boredom when I can simply distract myself with screen time or chemicals? Why learn to live with those holy rollers, to live like them, when I can dismiss them as weirdos, social outcasts, and go back to my way of making money and living for myself? Why stop to consider what I truly want when it's so easy to satisfy anything I want on the surface quickly? It's easy for us to say, you go your way, I'll go mine. We might even do that to the Lord. When we think about following someone else's way of life, it can be upsetting. I don't want to be a slave. I don't want to be controlled by someone else. I want my freedom. Indeed, you should want it. But what is your freedom for? When you are given sight, what is there to look at? Why have it if it goes nowhere and means nothing in the end? This is at the heart of the gospel. Obedience is not a rejection of freedom. It does not simply ignore your own unique way through life. Rather, true obedience of the gospel is the transformation of desire, the realization that your way, the way of life that is most free and most authentic to who you are, is actually the way of Jesus Christ, the way of the cross, the way of resurrection. And if you don't see that, call out for the Lord. Ignore the rebuke of the world. Call out for him and tell him, my teacher, I want to see.